Well, hello, my friends. Welcome to Busch Stadium. Welcome to St. Louis for those of you who have made the flight or the drive in. Welcome home to the rest of us. My name is John O'Leary, and for those who do not know me, that's all right. I am a local guy born and raised and reside right here in St. Louis, Missouri. I'm a board member as part of the room that you've been invited into tonight. I, like others around you, believe that what we are moving toward is not just a pie in the sky fantasy, but just time before it becomes a reality. And that this time is now. At age 9, my backstory is that I was burned in a house fire on 100% of my body and expected to die. Although many, I think, gave up hope that the situation was impossible, that the odds were too long, that it was too difficult, the doctors did not. The nurses did not. The custodians did not. My parents did not. Our neighbors did not. And the remarkable community that is St. Louis did not. The St. Louis Cardinals, welcome home, were a huge part of this little boy's recovery forward. The St. Louis Blues, I know there's some St. Louis Blues players in the room, were huge parts of why this little boy made his recovery forward. And then the thoughts, the prayers, the dollars, the donations, the efforts of our entire community came together. They collided. They intersected at this point between hopeless and possibility. And in doing so, changed the little boy's life forever. I now have the honor of traveling the world as a speaker, teaching others, organizations, individuals, schools, hospitals, how not just to avoid death, but to truly live, truly live. Behind me is our podcast wall. These are some of my favorite friends I've ever had the opportunity of interviewing. They are astronauts, they are artists, they are musicians, thought leaders, pictures, looking in my own mirror right now, like Brene Brown, pictures of some folks who were sentenced to life in prison, who then have gone on to not only get out of prison, but then make sure as many people as possible would never go to prison. It's a phenomenal group of men and women who have shown me that it is seldom easy, but it is possible, that there is a need for it. And one of my favorite pictures up there is a picture of a guy named Jonathan Cain. Jonathan Cain plays with a little bar band called Journey. Journey came in town just last August, and I had the honor of interviewing Journey, including Jonathan Cain, and he shared the story. And it's a story I think we all are familiar with. The story of a dream seeming too far, the odds seeming too long, the possibility of it becoming a reality seeming way too far off. It ain't gonna happen. Well, his dream was to be in a band. His dream was to make it big. The name of that group was Journey. And in 1976, the band broke up permanently. It was done. Jonathan Cain from Chicago originally wrote home from California to his dad saying, "Hey, Dad, the dream's over. The spirit has left the building. We can't get this thing off the ground. Can you send money?" You may be asked that question later on tonight. Stay tuned. Can you send money? And Jonathan Cain's father responds with a check for $3,000. That's a lot of money in 2019, but my friends, it's even more money way back in 1976. They send the check, Jonathan Cain's dad, for $3,000. And with that check came a note. And the note said, "Son, you are entirely too gifted to give up on this dream. There are too many people that need to be inspired and moved and rock and roll through the gifts that you have. Do not give up on this dream. Do not give up on this dream. Love, your dad." On the bottom left of the check were 3 words. You Journey fans are going to know this before I say it. Cue the piano in the background, cue the karaoke bar. The 3 words were these: don't stop believing. On the bottom of a check written from a father to a son in 1976, the 3 words, "don't stop believing," changed Jonathan Cain's life, pictured behind me, but also changed the journey, the movement forward for an entire band and eventually really the entire genre. Jonathan Cain cashed the check, and 4.5 months later in studio recorded a little song you may have heard of because you sang it last night, people, at a karaoke bar. Don't stop believing. Don't stop believing. We need men and women in a community that has given up hope, that has stopped believing, that has stopped reaching across the aisle, recognizing that we are intended to be our brothers and sisters' keepers, to sing loud that song, maybe to the background of Journey, but maybe just in the way we show up with our time, with our talent, with our treasure, with our checks, with our generosity, with our willingness to believe that it may not be easy, but it remains possible. As a little boy, I spent a little bit more than a year in a wheelchair. As a man today, I cruise around, I run around, I walk around, I have a wife, I have 4 kids, I love our community, I love our life. But it wasn't always easy, and I did not always feel as if I belonged. When others reached across to me and looked me in the eye and loved me where I was and gave me an opportunity to experience the fullness of life, and really none greater than Jack Buck. His pictures are all around the room where you're gathered tonight. Jack Buck changed my life. Tonight, you, my friends, have an opportunity to be a Jack Buck for someone else. You have an opportunity to say, you know what? This is a reach. It's a stretch. But I'm not going to stop believing. I see the value of this park. I see the value of sharing our spirit with those around us. I see what Jamie and the other board members are casting in front of me tonight, and I'm going to get behind it. I'm going to work for it. There's a reason why I am part of the board of advisors for this group. I see what they're doing. I see the need for it. I see the challenges in front of it, but I also see the park coming out of the ground and children's lives being touched. And not only children's, this gets me emotional, not only kids, but their siblings and their family, and a marketplace that has for too long been forgotten being included. In doing so, we're not only going to change their lives, we're going to change the entire face of St. Louis. I hope that you will join me and get behind the park, realize and discover what is possible still in our lives, and recognize, like I do, my friends, that the best of our journey remains in front of us. So I want to thank you all for being here tonight. I want to thank you for being part of our journey. And I want you to know loud and clear, our best days are in front of us, but we need people to invest. So believe, fight on, don't stop believing, and I'm looking forward to seeing you soon. For this time and until next time, this is John O'Leary. This is your day. Don't stop believing, live inspired, and build this park.